Hey everyone, it's Dustin again, and today I'm going to show you some techniques that I have learned through my art journey to draw a tree. So, a lot of people are going to be much better tree drawers than me. I'm just showing people what I know so that they can pick it up. And so, a lot of people in the audience might be at this level. That's a tree. You can't argue against that. If you say it's a tree, it's a tree. Potentially, it has a little home for a critter to live in, and maybe even an apple or two, right? For some reason, I'm really bad at drawing apples like that. This kind of looks like little little gremlin, little monster now, right? Okay, but anyway, but there's one simple rule that all trees have. They branch out. Okay? So the trunk is never really going to be just a straight line unless it's a palm tree, right? So you have to think, what kind of tree is it? But if you just want to draw a tree from your mind and you're just thinking tree, here's the basic concept. Here we have one branch, right? And I'm trying to make it thin at the end to give that representation of what a branch is. It starts off thick and it grows and grows and grows and it gets thin. Okay? But all trees branch out in a way. It's not always the same, which is why if you really are serious, you need to go out and examine trees. You need to try to draw them and look at what's special about them. That's what art is. Or expression like that, you need to study it, the anatomy. But here we can just know branching out. So this branch, we start off by making one other one. At one point, this branch decided it wants to go in two directions. So it split itself in two in a way and it branched out in two directions. Let's add another one. Now we have a branch with two tiny branches on it. You see what we're getting at? So each extra branch, we're going to give one more tiny branch. I'm going to lower this thickness a little bit. One more tiny branch. Okay, and let's put one more branch on the top one. Now we have a very complex branch compared to the one we had before. Each little branch is going to get another branch. And notice that none of the branches are going backwards like that because the tree is growing in a general direction. It's not going to go against itself, just like how hair all grows in a similar direction. It has its patterns, right? So each branch gets one more branch. And essentially, what we're doing here is we're going to keep adding branches until we have more complex shape. That was missed. A more complex shape, which we can then call a tree. The thing about a tree that makes it different than a branch is that it's much bigger, right? So this you could already say is a tree. It's just a really thin tree. But if you want to draw a bigger tree, then you need to have a bigger trunk. And then you can start off with that. I'll give you an example of that in a second, but first I want to tell you that trees don't generally stop with these blunt ends, right? So you have to follow it all the way to the end and let it go thin so that you can make it look more natural. But already this kind of looks like a tree. You can already kind of just put like some leaves. And there we have it. It's like a general basic tree. So now I want to show you if we make it and we instead of thinking of it as a branch, if we think about it as a tree. So trees, they have the big trunk, just like we had before. I'm trying to make it smaller so it can branch out a lot. So there's our main trunk. Here's where we would have had that beautiful crown of the tree, all the leaves, but we're not going to do that. We want to keep this tree branching out. Let's say that this tree has a low hanging branch. It decided to branch out early to get some more sunlight, but the trunk kept going upwards. So here we have one branching out, right? And you see, I want to make my trunk smaller because if it keeps going at this pace up to here, then I'm gonna have a tree that's just much taller than my paper, right? So you want to make sure you're making it thinner. So let's go up a little bit more. I'm gonna branch out one more time. So here we have, it's much thinner already. I can already tell that I'm going to go above the page, so let me just reset this real quick. Okay, so I've moved the tree down. We have plenty more space to work with here. Let's bring it back up. Okay, so now we have just two branches, just like we did with the small little branch we had earlier. But we're gonna keep going. We're gonna send this one a little bit more up. And at this point, the trunk kind of turns into just another branch, just like we had before. You can climb here comfortably. You can get here with a little bit of bravery, but once you start getting up here, you start to wonder if those branches are going to hold you. And then we just go through the same method. We just branch out one little branch at a time. I'm not worried too much about things like this. I kind of like that in my art. If you want to be perfect, you can. Just let it be or fix it. We're going to make one branch over here. Actually, I want to show you, this is what I would do. We could do one branch here and one branch here like that, but let's break away from the 2D a little bit. Right here, I generally would just make a branch appear right there. So we have this little piece, and it would just come out from behind there. You can kind of see that. You can fix it later with some shading. You can make it look more realistic, but it's going away from the viewer slightly. Okay, and here we can have another branch. There we go. And then I guess the final split of the main trunk. So from here, we're going to split it and just continue splitting it. So I'll do that right now. Just split this one this way. Split this one. And you'll notice that this one wants to go over here. So when I split it, it will go behind. You'll get to this point where all the trees start to come together. I mean, all the branches start to come together. Oops. It's hard to draw from this angle. And eventually you get to the point where you don't need to draw two lines anymore because those branches are small enough to just be one line. Right? And you can kind of blend it together. There we have it. Here I'm going to do one more coming from away from the viewer. And remember, you can have that branch decide to split off as many times as you want. Okay? You can already see it's looking like a tree. I mean, it is a tree, no doubt. Let's do this one. I like to turn my paper because I'm left-handed. It makes life very complicated, and I'm always needing to change the paper around. I think it doesn't matter which hand you have. You see here that I noticed this area is kind of blank. I'm going to add one more branch right there, going away. We just let that tree grow, essentially. We're just helping it grow. Try to keep it like uniform at least. Gotta respect the tree. Lots of branches. You can kind of start to just get a little bit abstract with it because the details like that, no one's going to sit there and just judge your tree and say like, oh, those branches aren't perfect, man. You really messed up. I'm going to get you. People aren't like that. You know, most of the time when I have a piece of art that I'm really proud of, but I have a mistake and I'm really worried about it, No one ever notices that thing. A lot of times, I think my art's horrible, but people tell me it's great. And sometimes I'll look at some art that I think is amazing, and I'll notice some flaws, and then I'll think, wait a second, I didn't notice that before. It just looked great. So that's one of the main things. You don't worry so much. And just besides all that, we're just exploring our artistic expression, right? We're creating a tree from nowhere. Before I started this video, this didn't exist. This came from my brain. Well, generally, because I'm just following patterns, right? I didn't think about this tree. I didn't know it would be this shape. It just kind of ended up like that, right? Okay, I'm gonna put one more here. You see, just keep going with it. Kind of let it flow a little bit, right? I'm gonna make this one in front. Keep branching off. You might be wondering, Dustin, what about the leaves? Trees have leaves, man. I know that. I know. But you see, we have bones. Can you see your bones? You can't. It's the foundation. I like to draw the foundation, and then I come back later and I cover it up with skin and clothes. It's the same thing with the tree, right? And that's the thing about art as well. It's like, you see, we're going at this for a long time. It's therapeutic. The perfect thing to do when you don't have anything else to do and you want to express yourself. Right? If I wanted to be better with it, I would take my time and make sure that each branch makes sense. Like right here, I have a couple that are just, I just kind of threw them together. For the sake of the video, I don't want to sit here for an entire hour talking to myself, and I'm just trying to get my point across. So like right here, I want to put another branch, just it feels more natural to me. Like where is the branch that's going backwards and collecting the sunlight on the opposite side of the tree? So that's kind of what you want to think about. Where are all these branches? How does the tree think? Where does it go? Where does it want the sunlight? Is there another tree nearby that it's leaning away from? These are all things that you can think about in your drawing. Okay, so there we have it. Whoa, I don't know how you're supposed to see that. Okay, so there we have it. We have a really shiny tree. That's better. So this is a perfect wintertime tree because it's got no leaves. But if we want to add leaves, there's a really simple trick, and I'm going to show it to you. You just find where all the branches are, and you go around it like this, right? Let's just do like a simple one. I showed it in the example in the beginning. This is just a easy way out, right? Now we have a tree. It's a bubbly tree. The branches we see from underneath, it's kind of giving that look where you're standing below and you can see all the branches reaching up into the leaves. But we can make this tree more realistic looking. For any beginner drawers, you can just do that same technique, except try to do this. Try to draw like a leaf, but you don't want to waste time drawing 1,000 leaves. So you draw a leaf and you draw a bunch of squiggly lines, and then you try to draw a leaf every once in a while. So it gives the impression that you are drawing leaves. Squiggly line and then leaf, and then squiggly line, squiggly line, squiggly line. You can come back around, squiggly line, like that. So you get this more realistic leaf texture, and you just have some fun with it. Okay, and we can do that to the whole thing. The same technique, but we used the tree squiggly lines to give a more realistic leaf visual. Okay, and then now what you want to do if you want to make it even more realistic is you have to cover up some of those little branches. So that's why you would draw with pencil first. You just go back over and you go like that. And then you would take the eraser, if you're drawing with your, where's that erasing? If you're drawing with a pencil, you just take the eraser and you go back over and you delete that pencil on the inside. Okay. Boom. So there we have more of a tree look. You can even go further down. You can erase those branches like this. I know you did all the hard work with the branches, but that's why when you make that technique, I did it slowly so you could see how each one does. Well, I usually draw a tree more like how I did up here, where I was just talking and really quickly going over it. Okay. If the branch is leaning more towards you, well, this one's leaning away, right? We can see kind of inside that orb of leaves. But if it's leaning more towards you, then you would just cover up all that right there. It's up to you. Right? And if you want, you can just have a little break in the what do you call that? The group of stuff, the group of leaves, and you can just draw some branches in there. Right? You can just do what you want. You can have a branch sticking out. A few rogue leaves. It's up to you. So you have to just explore the tree and just think about, what is the tree doing? How can I make this tree more interesting than just a circle? So we can do all sorts of stuff. Just have some fun with it. And as you go along, you learn more techniques. I didn't learn how to draw these trees in just one sitting. I went over and over and over all these different techniques that I, obsessed over while I was trying to figure out the best way. So I'm going to go ahead and just cover up some of these branches so I can show you another aspect. So now that we have like a general tree here, it's not a perfect tree, but we can see, like, you look at this and you don't think that's snake or that's something else. You just know it's a tree because it's a tree. You can draw, this is one little area, right? You can separate the areas by some more leaf textures. You can do more breaks like I talked about earlier. A little break in the tree where you see like a branch. Just explore and have fun. Think about details. How can you make this look more realistic? You have to think about the texture of the trunk, right? So trunks, they all have different types of bark. Every single tree has a different style of bark, and that's why you would go out and you would try to experiment with different ones. Some trunks are just like this. They have just a bunch of different lines and cracks as they grow along, right? Some trunks are actually like this. It's like a, what do you call it? Shingles of a house, right? Some trunks are like that. A palm tree would be like this. It grows by rings, because a palm tree is actually not a typical kind of tree. I believe it's a prehistoric kind of plant that's different than normal trees. At least I heard that before. What I like to do with my trunks is I like to make squiggly lines. I would switch to a softer color, maybe gray. That is not gray, that's blue. Okay, where's my black? Okay, so then you can take the texture and you can just kind of flow with the tree. You want that tree to keep following the branches, right? So I have this line. I like the squiggly just because it adds character. and it would just go along that branch like that. Now I'm not perfect. I would take my time and be slower if I was expecting this to be a serious drawing. You see, we already have some more texture. So there we have it. And then I will just do this really quickly. So now we have a textured tree. All I did was add lines. And if you look, they're really unprofessionally done. I just scribbled and scribbled all over that thing, making up words too. And that's pretty much it. There is one more thing that I want to talk about that I like to do when I draw trees, and it is adding those extra dimensions. Like earlier, where am I going here? Okay, earlier, I talked about how this branch goes backwards. One thing I like to do is think about the bottom of the tree. It also has these extra dimensions. So there's not just one branch, because actually underneath this tree, it's not just one branch, it's another tree going underground. Trees are like not two-way streets. They're just going two ways, right? So there's a whole other tree down there, and it follows the same rules. Maybe it's a little bit more scraggly and totally different kind of environment, but it's just following that branching. And so the bottom of the tree will branch as well. So I kind of like to add like these dimensions, and I might even add like a root like that. So this tree has just gained like a whole new beauty to it. Its roots, you can get the hint of the roots growing around in the ground down there. So I'll add those squiggly lines to that root system. There we go. And now we have the tree. And one thing that I also like, one like final tip, is that trees house life. And so in those root areas, you'll get some grass. And it'll just, in between each area where you see that root, maybe not there, that root space, like if it's in between if these two are roots, it's going to grow right there in the middle. A little grass, a little place for some animals to live. You can draw some more grass going out. You can blend that tree to the ground. And so there we have it. It's not every type of tree. Some trees are going to be more pointy. Some trees are going to be more windy. Some trees are going to be entirely different. That's why you need to go outside, and if you want to learn how to draw trees, then you need to look at the different styles of trees that there are. Like some branches are going to be just straight like that. Maybe like a pine tree is kind of more like that, right? And some are going to be really like an oak tree. It's going to be more like this. Imagine this is the ground, this is the trunk, right? Those branches are massive. They're like giant anacondas. And then that crown is going to be just huge. It's going to be the size of an entire mountain. I mean, house. I don't know why I said mountain. But, right? So you have to explore the different trees. And that's how you get to know what's going on. So I hope this helps. And I hope that if you did need the help, I hope it was entertaining. Thanks for following along. I'm really grateful for those of you who view the whole thing. Have a great time. And like and subscribe and share with your friends if you'd like.